It seems that the Republican Party is splintering into two factions. Now, there's this huge overlay of white supremacy and anti-gay, anti-trans, and anti-LGBTQ, and, you know, racist, pro-racist stuff, you know, the whole white supremacy stuff. All that kind of stuff going on. And there seems to be probably, you know, more of a consensus on those so-called issues. But what we're seeing in the Republican Party right now is the beginning, I believe, of this splintering into pro and anti-Trump factions. Steve Mnuchin is coming out and saying, yeah, I thought maybe we should use the 25th Amendment because maybe Trump was crazy. People trying to clean up their reputations, trying to purge themselves of the stink of Trump that got smeared all over them when they participated. You know, Deborah Birx coming out and saying, well, you know, I was trying to save people's lives. He just kept, refusing to let me go on TV. Wouldn't let me do it. On the other hand, you've got Steve Bannon, who was just enthusiastic this morning. He live streamed his own surrender to the police for contempt of Congress. And not only did he live stream it, but he eventually said, I was going to say essentially said, he didn't essentially say, he literally said, we are taking down the Biden regime. He said, everybody watching in the war room, we're here today. He's live streaming this. All right. He said, we have the Hispanics coming on our side. Well, that's to some extent true. You now have several hundred Spanish language right-wing radio stations around the country promoting 24/7 right-wing, you know, the Spanish version of Rush Limbaugh's. He says African Americans are coming to our side. Trump actually picked up African American votes between 2016 and 2020. His share, it only went up a few points, but it went up. It was almost entirely black men. And then Steve Bannon says, we're taking down the Biden regime. Really? In fact, this is, you know, and then he turns around and walks into the courthouse. And this is his shtick, is let's have an audit in all 50 states so that we can declare the election. Well, here's what Charlie Sykes said. He says, the latest indictment has not slowed Steve Bannon down. And then he quotes Bannon from his podcast. Bannon said, we're taking action, and that action is we're taking over school boards, we're taking over the Republican Party through the precinct committee strategy. Those of you, by the way, who are longtime listeners to this program will recall back in 2010 when I was playing clips on this program from the Concord, whatever it is, Concord Group, Concord Coalition, Concord something or other, on YouTube, where the host is looking right into the camera and saying, the most powerful person in America is the precinct committee chairman. Because they help, you know, and this is not true of every state, but in most states, they're the ones who determine who's going to be the primary candidate. So if we get nothing but Tea Partiers, so this is the Tea Party effort to take over the Republican Party. And it worked. So anyhow, back to Steve Bannon. We're taking that action, and we're taking over school boards. We're taking over the Republican Party through the precinct committee strategy. We're taking over all the elections, and they know it. And we're going to continue that, and we're going to get to the bottom of 3 November. Now, that's the day of the election. See, Bannon and Trump are now arguing that the scandal, the big lie, was not January 6th. It was November 3rd, the day of the election. He says, and we're going to continue that, and we're going to get to the bottom of 3 November, and we're going to decertify the electors, okay? And you're going to have a constitutional crisis. Now, in my opinion, this is Steve Bannon making more millions. I mean, you know, he got busted on his build the wall thing. They had taken millions of dollars from people who thought they were helping to build a wall, and Bannon got busted. He was on the yacht of this Chinese multimillionaire, billionaire, and he and his fellow companions, his partner in this actually is still being prosecuted for mail fraud, for fraud, because they took that money and just, you know, used it for their lifestyle, right? So this is Bannon's latest scam to raise money. His podcast is now one of the most popular in America. It's making serious money for him. And the more outrageous he can get, the more agent provocateur he can become, the more often he can get his name in the headlines, the more money he makes. But this is dangerous stuff. This is genuinely dangerous stuff. And like I said earlier when I was talking with Morris in the first hour, you know, we will see, I think, toward the end of the primary season, we will probably know by May or June of next year whether the Republican Party is going to reassemble itself without Trump or whether the Republican Party is going to go full fascist and completely purge itself of the Adam Kinzingers and the Liz Cheneys and the, 11 or 13 Republicans who voted for the infrastructure bill, whether it's going to become completely the party of hate America, stop anything that may advantage Americans. The only kind of legislation they'll ever pass is tax cuts for rich people, and that's it. Is that going to be the future of the Republican Party, which is the direction they've been traveling since 1980? And frankly, I think it is. But we'll see. We'll see. I also wanted to flag for you Austria, just a couple of things. Just following up on Dr. Feigelding being with us. Austria, this is from today's Financial Times. Speaking at a press conference in the state of Tyrol on Friday, Chancellor Alexander Schallenberg said the federal government was seeking a nationwide lockdown for those who have not been jabbed. He said, I don't see why two-thirds of the population should lose their freedom because another third hesitates. They met over the weekend, by the way, and said, yes, we're going to do this. Now, they're having a problem in Austria the same as we are. They've got their version of red states. There's our Upper Austria and, excuse me, I'm sorry, I don't have the names for their states, but they're red states. Their blue states are Upper Austria and Salzburg. And they are enforcing these measures. But other state governors, not so much. And this is a country that has already banned unvaccinated people from restaurants, bars, and entertainment venues. The police are going to start deploying spot checks in public places to check vaccine status. Rule breakers face heavy fines. Unvaccinated people will be able to leave their homes only once a day for a short period for essential reasons such as buying food. And the reason for this is because more than 1/3 of Austrian citizens have not gotten a single vaccine yet. They have one of the lowest rates of vaccination in the European Union. Why? Because they've got this far-right party. It's called the Freedom Party. Surprise, surprise. Its leader is a guy by the name of Herbert Kickl. And he has accused the government of corona fascism and said all forms of resistance are now needed. It's amazing. In Latvia, starting today, you will only be able to be paid for your work if you've been vaccinated. They have a lower vaccination rate than the EU average. The Netherlands are announcing a 3-week lockdown this week. Closure of non-essential shops by 7 p.m., no more than 4 visitors inside a home, and reintroduction of telework. So that's just the latest on the COVID thing. And then following up on the banned books and the anti-critical race theory, the whole, this is the so-called social wars that the Republican Party has launched. I just got this in email just minutes ago from Ibrahim Hooper, who has been on this program. He's with the Council on American Islamic Relations, CAIR.com. He said, the Council on American Islamic Relations, the nation's largest Muslim civil rights and advocacy organization, today condemned a right-wing group's $500 bounty to catch educators in New Hampshire who are offering anti-racism training. The offer of a bounty by the New Hampshire chapter of Moms for Liberty came after the launch of a website to report violations of that state's new law that seeks to ban the teaching of so-called critical race theory. New Hampshire, too. They have live free or die on their license plates that are stamped in the prison, by the way, in New Hampshire. Live free, but you can't be educated free. You can't learn the truth. Sorry, no, we're going to control everything that you and your children learn. Kansas, another story. This is from the Associated Press. Again, just broke minutes ago. The headline, Kansas District orders 29 books removed from circulation. Julie Canizo, assistant and superintendent for academic affairs in this Kansas school district, said Tuesday that one parent objected to language he found offensive in the book, The Hate You Give. It's a novel about the aftermath of a police officer killing a black teenager. It's incredible. Canizo said in an email to principals and librarians last week that the district is assembling a committee to, quote, rate the content of the books on the list. I don't think this is like some little thing that we're going through here. As the Nazis got bolder and bolder and bolder, that's when they started burning books. And here we are.